Alright, so this one is going to be more of a can a person survive in the sheep range? That's where Kenny went missing, and so it's kind of the aspect I'm looking at. This right here was a place that he said that he had camped. I don't remember the actual name of the peak. Mount, oh, Gas Peak. He had said that he had camped up here. If you come out into the flats, amazingly, you start to find springs. And everybody should know by now, as long as you have water, you have the ability to stay alive. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 springs down here by Gas Peaks. Now I believe this is where kind of the foot. Oh no, this is that little ridge. And then you go over and kind of the lower end of the sheep range. But if you keep going in, here's another guzzler. And what the guzzlers are is it's a holding system for water for wildlife out there. It just what it is. The animals need water, and if you're desperate, you could drink that yourself. You might want to boil it, but it is what it is. So let's get up here to the meat of the subject, and then we can start into it. Each one of these canyons, I would imagine at some point have been explored. Alright, this right here is a corral, but there's a parking area right beside it right here. I have this marked simply because of where Onyx says the trailhead starts. I kind of figure people either park here, wherever. It's pretty much irrelevant to me where you park, except for one parking spot. Kenny Veach parked right here, and if I remember right, he says from here you kind of side hill over into the trail. But we can get to that right now. And I will be stopping this because basically I just want to go over what he has to say.
Well, here I am on my hike up here in the mountains north of Las Vegas. This is a canyon I just walked up in. Now you can't tell, but my truck is way out there by the mountain.
Alright, what he's talking about. Oh shit. Whoops. I did not mean to do that. So we will just come right back to it. That was purely an accident. Now if the map will load. It will, it just takes a second. Alright. What he's talking about is he has came up in between the west side, which is kind of a little island chain, and the east side, which is a longer running range. They kind of, well, they parallel each other, but this draw right here is what he's talking about. It's kind of a little valley. Kind of, it's pretty good sized. Dang. Alright, so he is at this point right here. From right here, he's tooled it up to there at this point. What he's talking about is the west side of it, and then the east side, and this just being a little draw. Or valley, whatever you want to, whatever.
Mountains at the very, very end of this valley, kind of like a big canyon. On the other side of these mountains, I'll show you in a second, is the bombing range, the Nellis Air Force bombing range. They do a lot of practice stuff out there. This is an old mine, and there's a hole here that just goes way down. I'll show you that. And then the last time I came up here, I hiked up to the top of what they call Gas Peak, and I spent the night. It was a 2-day hike, and then I hiked all the way down to another valley over here and went past this mountain range you see on my right, all the way back out to the flat desert. Now, the camera doesn't pick this up very well, but it's a long way, and I just romp around out here, do some solo hikes, and have some fun. My mission today is to just do a 1-day hike. It's about a 10-hour hike. I got to still go over another ridge and then go all the way down a big crevice that's real narrow and gets kind of scary. And I'm looking for a cave that I found, and I didn't have a sidearm when I was here before, and something about that cave just spooked me. Out of all the caves I've ever gone in, this one just made my body vibrate. The closer I got to it, the crazier my body felt, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to go in there right now, but I'm coming back someday. And I talked to some people on YouTube, and I told them, hey, I'm coming out here, you know, because they kind of called my hand on it. So I don't know if there's going to be anything to it, but it might be interesting. If I can find it, I got to relocate it, and this is a big mountain range I'm in, and I'm on foot. You know, my truck's way out there. There's no roads, there's no trails. It's a pretty rough terrain. So hopefully I'll find it. It's shaped like a big M. It's a big cave that looks just like a gigantic M, and it's about as tall as I am and kind of narrow, and it's stuck on the side of a mountain. So I hope I can find it again. And if I do, I'm going in there. I'm gonna put on my light and take my gun out and walk in there, see if I find anything. We'll see. I'm gonna take the camera and show you how deep this hole is and kind of show you around real quick. So here we go. This area is that I'm in. It's kind of a weird thing. It's been out here forever. I mean, there's no roads, there's no trails. This thing, who knows how long it's been out here, and I have no idea what they were digging up, but it looks like some of the rocks are kind of rusty, so it might have been some kind of ore. This is kind of iffy. I'm going to step on this thing. It's very old, but I'll just show you down inside that hole. It goes way, way, way down in there. Let me see if I can... that's pretty far. That goes way down in there. If you fell, that'd be it. You'd be a goner. It's a long way. So anyway, on the other side of those mountains, they're not that far away, but they're pretty good distance out there. On the other side of those is where I'm going to be popping out after I go over this. See, there's this little canyon. I got to go down. I got to go over this mountain, and then I drop way down this mountain into a canyon.
Okay, if a person is suicidal in my mind, you are not going to be running around with your gun, and you're not going to be worried about the old boards. I mean, if you don't care if you live or die, you don't care if you live or die. So I kind of have a hard time buying into the suicide thing. I mean, depression is funny. One day you're fine, the next day you're eating lead, or however you choose to go. But to me, this isn't like somebody that is suicidal. Is Kenny a high risk adrenaline personality? Yeah, I believe he is. That's the only reason for his hiking style. This right here is what we call a saddle. And when you are hiking, when you are going through the mountains, whatever, you don't pick the highest place to go up and over. If you have a natural saddle like this, you are going to aim for the lowest point and you're going to try to shoot through that. So that just, to me, I'm not seeing a suicide per se.
And I head off in that direction. I just go that direction, and that's west, heading towards, that's Mount Charleston, that big mountain out there. That's the Mount Charleston range. And then, excuse me, I got flies all over the place. And then, so I'll be heading down behind this mountain over here in a little canyon that gets kind of scary because there's all kinds of cliffs and stuff. And then hopefully I'll find that cave. It's like back over there somewhere, but down on the other side of that mountain. And then I got to walk all the way along this whole gigantic range on the outside of that mountain because I came down this valley. You'll see this valley, but I'll be out there where the desert's flat. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. I'll be way, way, way out there where the desert's flat. And then I got to walk all the way down, all the way back to way out there. And then I got to come back up and find my truck. So,
all right. So let's have a look at the map. What he is talking about is... Whoops, wrong way. Sorry about that. Alright, what he's talking about is he left his vehicle, came up, he's going to go through the saddle, then he's going to come down into Picture Canyon, and then he's going to come across the flat, which is not flat. All these little washes, those are up, down, loose gravel, loose rock, sand. I'm not exactly sure what that's like because I've just never been there. Do I plan on going there? I would love to go there. So anyhow, what he's talking about doing is he left his vehicle, he came up, shoots through the saddle, drops down into this canyon, and he's coming back around. So when he just panned out or zoomed in and was showing the flat of the desert, he wasn't literally saying he's going to come out of the canyon, hike out here 60 miles, and then come back around into his vehicle. He's trying to show people that he's going to be coming back in across this desert area. So you can't take everything as a literal statement.
it's going to be a long time. The sun might be down by the time I started at 7 o'clock, but I'm thinking the sun might be down by the time I get back to my truck. But the great thing about it is I have a big cooler full of beer waiting for me. It's going to taste so great because I didn't bring a whole lot of water and I only got like one candy bar to get me through, but I like roughing it that way. So I slept up in these mountains and it's pretty high. I think that's about, it's like 9,000 feet up there, and it's the camera just doesn't do it justice, but I slept on one of those peaks. I think that's the peak I slept on, and then I came down in the morning, and
All right, think about that for a minute. He's hunting for a cave that he said made his body vibrate. Basically, it scared the hell out of him. But he's trying to show us a place where he had previously camped. And when you do a lot of hiking, all right, for me, elk hunting, I have places that I get into and I will want to go back to it, and I might be a draw or two over from where I was thinking something was. If you do a lot of hiking, your hikes, after so many of them, they'll become almost one giant hike. You'll think of something, and then when you get there, and it's like, well, damn, I was sure it was right here. And so I understand a lot of what he's saying and where he's coming from, but I'm not as critical as taking every word as literal as a lot of people are. I understand how it works simply because of my own lifestyle.
And it took me quite a while to get out of this mountain range. And I walked almost all the way back to the highway, and my girlfriend picked me up. So it was a long trip. I was pretty wore out and beat up, but that's what I do. I'm out here having a good time. So I'm gonna hang it up, and hopefully I'll find that cave. If I find the cave, I'm definitely gonna set up my tripod over here, and I'm gonna go check it out. So you'll see me with my gun in hand and my flashlight, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be freaked out like I was last time. Who knows? There might have been a mountain lion in there, and it was just my sixth sense talking to me. So I'll catch you later. Talk to you in a minute. Bye. Anyway, I'm back. I had to show you this. I'm almost to the ridge that I'm going to be going down, and I came across in early October. I don't normally find these in early October, but when I first started this hike down there's no pine trees, there's no juniper trees, there's barely any bushes. There's a lot of cactus, and slowly but surely I run into juniper, and then every now and then I run into a pine tree. But now I'm in the middle of these pine trees up here, and I just came across these, and they have just opened and dropped gigantic sweet pine nuts, or pinion nuts, whatever you want to call them. And they are all over the place. And they're so sweet and delicious. This flies all over. They're everywhere. They're just laying. It was the perfect time to find them because they're just laying all over the place. Now I can spend about 20 minutes just walking around and collecting these, and I'll put them all in my bag. When I get home, I'll have a nice treat. And this is the kind of food that saves your life. If you're up here and you got nothing to eat, and you come across this, just start picking them up and eating them, man. They're delicious. Who cares about dirt? If you're dying, grab these things, man. They're free. They're delicious. This is a treat. And they're really big. Look at the size of those babies, man. They're great. Even the nut is sweet. Look at that. They're perfect. There's so many of them. So I'm gonna wander around. I don't like taking them from this because you get the sap all over your hands and it's sticky like crazy.
Okay. This kind of stuff is exactly why when I had my survival channel before it got taken down, this is how come I watch Kenny's videos. Because it was a minimalistic, knowledge is power based thing that I was drawn to. Was Kenny a survivalist? Not in the sense that a lot of people think of. Um, he knew the plants. He knew what he could eat. Therefore, he didn't have to carry a lunchbox with him. Maybe throw a sandwich or nuke a burrito, throw it in your pack, or candy bars, whatever. That way, if you get in a pinch, you have something to fall back on. That way, you can grab some energy. But this was the main reason that I was drawn to this channel. Now, Native American belief is when the pinions were getting ready to drop your nuts or drop their nuts, what they would do is they would put out skins, blankets, things under the trees to catch the nut as it fell out. If you took the pine cones out and you gathered the nut out of the pine cone, it was considered to be bad luck. And so Kenny, I don't know if he knew that. I don't know if it was instinct just to pick him up off the ground. He says he didn't like the pines or the sap from the pine cones. And holy Christ, you are a mess if you grab the pinion pine cones. That just is. Here where I live, it's a lot of the same terrain. It's high desert, and you have the juniper trees, and we have pinions, oak brush, aspens, pine, but we will cover more of the plants and some of their usage. But it's not that this guy, I'm just having a hard time seeing somebody that's suicidal share knowledge like that. And if you do live where the pinions are, if they are, well, there should be sagebrush fairly close. And I'm not sure if this is sagebrush or some form of a rabbit brush. But if you take the leaves off of sagebrush and you rub that in your hands, if you have tree sap all over it, that will neutralize the stickiness of the tree sap and make it easier to clean up. And then at least your hands aren't all sticky.
But look at that. They're all over the place. So I'm going to fill my pockets up. These things are expensive. You go anywhere in the outskirts of Vegas or in Vegas, if you can find them in Vegas, and they'll charge you $10 for a bag, sometimes $20 for a bag. You know, just a baggie.
Here, a 1 pound bag of pine nuts is anywhere from about $15 to $25. Depends on who's selling them.
And I'm here picking them up free. And they're giant and they're delicious. They're everywhere. There's so many of them laying all over the place. Wow. Oh, perfect. They're just at the right stage. Look at that. Perfect. Wow. So I'm a happy camper. I'm going to collect these for a while. And then hopefully we'll find that cave. Okay, so
All right. Now this is I am not 100% on exactly where he was gathering the pine nuts. If you go through this saddle from the mine, you're not going to find all the pine nuts right in through here. So if you go through that saddle, or if you go through this saddle, you're going to have to get into where the trees are. Unless he came through the saddle here, dropped down, and this is where he was gathering the pine nuts. I'm not 100% on that. But you're going to have to get into where the junipers turn into pinions in order to gather those. But where he picks up now is he left the mine and came across through here. I mean, when he left the mine, he could have followed this ridge, came up into this, or he could have went. I mean, personally, if I was going to do this, I would kind of side hill across and make a loop. That way I'm not shooting straight down and then up, simply because as you get older, your knees are going to feel the up and down, up and down. And no matter what anybody tries to tell you, going down is harder on your knees than going up. But he's made it down into this area. And I'm not going to pinpoint here, simply because I don't know exactly which one of these little draws. With this having the rocky cliff face, I could see him coming down through the center, but sometimes that's more of a pain than getting on one of the fingers and just follow the finger down and coming out into your opening. Alright.
So I'm back. I came down one mountain, I came over a ridge, and I dropped down inside this canyon. Now that's actually behind me. I'm actually going. There's big mountains over there. There's a few caves over there, but that's not where I found it. Out that direction is the direction I'm heading. Down here, I'll walk a little bit. So I'm in another long canyon. This is the second canyon, and I had to go over a small mountain to get to this one, and then drop down. And I just got down here, and now this is just going to go all the way down through this whole twisty, windy canyon, and I've got to follow it, and it gets real narrow, and then it starts turning into cliffs and stuff that I got to start climbing down. It gets a little hairy, but I've done it 2 other times.
Alright, this is cholla cactus. You can throw that on a fire, and then you got to scrape the needles off, but fire kind of helps loosen the skin up, and then it will scrape off. That is a edible. If you haven't ate for a while and you get into the juniper trees, you can eat the berries to stimulate your stomach. And what that will do is that will activate the stomach acids, and that will make your stomach start working again. So when you do eat, you don't have the cramps, you don't get sick, all of that kind of stuff.
Times, so I know I can get through, and then it just drops down out into the flat desert. All of a sudden, boom, you're out of the mountains and you're on the desert, and then I got to walk the whole range all the way back, and it is a long way. So I'm gonna be worn out, but that beer's gonna taste good. So along here, I'm sure it's further down this canyon, and see, I gotta go past that mountain way up out there, and then just keep on going. It turns into a real narrow canyon. So this is the kind of terrain.
Alright, what I was trying to do was show you this plant right here. And yucca, agave, both of those are very good plants if you are in a situation that you need cordage, you need a needle and thread, you need food, because if this is, I really can't tell because of the video quality, but if this is agave, if you go around the very tip, that turns into a really hard needle, and if you can pull that needle, you will get strands that come out with it. They're fibers, they're really strong, and you can have a needle and thread right there. You can cut those leaves off, and you can smash them to get all the fibers out. You can make cordage out of it. If that is yucca, you can strip the waxy leaf off to expose the fibers, and you can do a back twist, and you can make cordage out of that. yucca yucca is more for making a soap. You can pound the root and it will kind of suds up, but it also grows a stalk out, and the stalk will bloom and you can eat the flowers off of it. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out here that is very useful.
Terrain I hike over all the time. No trails, no trash, no people. I'm sure there's mountain lions out here. And all kinds of other critters. No bears, obviously, there's no bears out here. And I've never run into a rattlesnake, which is kind of strange. But there's, as you can see, there's no water out here. So, oh, there's a, no, look at, there's a bird. Oh, I missed him. He's making noises.
Prickly pear cactus. I know this box is a pain in the butt, but prickly pear cactus, you can skin them and you can eat the fruits, which is the now that little purple deal that grows on top of them. You can eat the pads. You just want to get the slimy crap off of it, but also if you skin one of those, you can use it as sunblock. I mean, there is a lot of useful tools out here.
I wish I could get a picture of him. So I take photographs of cool stuff. I find fossils and all kinds of stuff. So that's where I came from, way back over there. I had to drop down off of that mountain. And now I got a ways to go down here. So I'm going to turn this off, and if I find the cave, I'll be turning it back on. Bye-bye. Here's a beautiful canyon I'm just now walking past. I just now got past that little mountain, and I got to walk past this canyon and just keep on going. You got to know which canyons to go down, otherwise you get lost up here.
All right. So he has made it out of here, and I think this is that first canyon that he's going through. And once this starts to pinch down, that's when I think he discusses this one. But right in through here somewhere is where he talks about some landmarks that are fairly important in my opinion.
I don't bring a compass or anything, but I do have a pocket full of pine nuts. Yeah, I've been collecting them all the way down here, but that goes way up there, and that just goes, that's north, and it just keeps on going all the way to Alamo, Nevada, like 80 miles away. So, ow, I tripped. Okay, off again. Here's the mountain. There's another range I'm walking down. I'll just give you an idea how long it takes to get past these mountains. You know, so I just keep on walking. I'm kind of going down. I'm in a big giant creek bed right now, and I haven't come to the area where the cave is. So it's along here somewhere. This is gonna get real narrow way down here when I finally get up to that mountain down there, which is it's a good distance away. When I get to that mountain, I should be in the narrow part of the canyon. It gets so narrow you can almost put your hands on either side of it, on the walls, on the canyon walls. And so I do all of this solo, you know, and it's kind of dangerous, and I try to pretend like I don't have any supplies. You know, I bring water and I bring something to eat, but I haven't eaten anything since I started this hike, and I've only had 2 small gulps of water, so I kind of try to pretend that I'm running out or I don't have it, just so I can see how far I can actually go before I feel like I'm in trouble. That way, if I ever do get in trouble, I know when I know when I should start panicking, how long I have before I'm in trouble. So that's a good idea to do that, you know. If I get real thirsty or I get hungry, I could just always reach into my pack, but I like to ration what I have so I can go long distances. There's some interesting stuff coming up here. Look, see those? Look at that. Kind of right there. That's kind of.
All right, these formations like that, we call them hoodoos. All they are is where sediment has pretty much bounded, cemented, whatever you want to call it, the rocks together. And for some reason, they will erode, but at one point, all of this came off. This could have been a face, but for some reason, the sediment has some kind of a different consistency and it will hold. But the only thing I disagree with his last statement is conserving your water. I could see it, but he also knows he's getting close to that halfway point. I mean, if you look at this, he's coming into this part. So he has left his vehicle way down here, came all the way up and around and coming into this. So while he was conserving his water through this part, why doesn't he start drinking a little bit more just for the ease on your kidneys, on your muscles? If you get dehydrated, cramping becomes an issue. And I don't know if anybody's ever had dehydration cramps, but they're no fun.
Kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to turn it off and then I'll turn it back on here. Look at that, that's pretty cool right there. Huh.
Those are the hoodoos.
Alright, off with the camera. Well, I'm leaving it in the dust. Oops. And the canyon's getting a little more narrow. It looks like it's blocked off, but I can squeeze through that. It kind of turns into like an S, but it just keeps on going. And then there's lots of little caves, but they're not the kind of cave I'm looking for. The kind of cave I'm looking for is deep and it's dark and it's shaped it's shaped just like the letter M. So lots of little caves and stuff along here.
All right. If you remember, his initial statement was, it's up on the side of the hill. That's going to change. But I don't see that being the cave that he's talking about. I mean, he's pretty adamant. He went and got a gun. Are you going to bring a gun out for something you can stick your head in and say, well, hell, you don't even have to stick your head in there. You look at it and go, yeah, I saw that. Does it have the shape? There are so many caves out here that, I mean, I've seen M's on almost every hole in the ground. So, I mean, it is what it is.
And it's about level with the ground, like in an area like this. So I really got to keep my eyes peeled because I don't want to pass it. You know? And then there's caves like that. You know?
All right, you have this one. I don't know about if that's a shadow or not, but I'm going to try to do something that I probably shouldn't.
it's shaped just like the letter M. So lots of little caves and stuff along here, and it's about level with the ground, like right like in an area like this.
All right, this right here has caused a lot of controversy. People think it's a covered up cave. It's all been tried to be blended in. The colorations don't match, all of that. That's part of why I wanted to take night vision and lasers. You can shoot a laser back in there and you can see if it goes 6 inches or if it shoots in there 100 feet. I really don't see anybody going through the trouble of having to manhandle those rocks in. If you was to take a vehicle back in there, you are going to leave tracks. It just is what it is.
So I really got to keep my eyes peeled because I don't want to pass it. You know? And then there's caves like that, you know. I'm not going up there. There's caves. There's actually caves all over the place up here. It's a really cool place. If you want to come spelunking, this is the place to come spelunking, man. Canyons galore. I must have passed 3 canyons already. Here's a little canyon, or a crevice more like it. It goes on up in there. It's kind of cool. I like going up in stuff like that because that's where I find my skulls, you know.
All right, that's what I mean by when you do hike. And I'm not a hiker per se. I do a hell of a lot of hiking, but like doing the Appalachian Trail or Pacific Crest Trail or whatever, yeah, I'll drive it or I'll do it on Google. But when I go looking for deer horns or elk horns, sheds, I will get into places like this, and it's just one of those things to where, that's what I was saying earlier, it all becomes one giant hike. And so if you go out and this is your hike, you park here, come out, come through here, come back around. If that's the only thing you ever do, then you are not really diversifying your hikes. So it's pretty simple to where you can get single-minded about it and you are very convicted to your belief system in it. Now, if he came up here and camped, like he said he did, okay, he's already gone off of the beaten trail. That cave could be on the backside of wherever it was he camped. If he camped in this one, and what's to say there is even a cave? Anyhow, that is something that I really understand not finding it on this hike, but also I really don't know that there even is a cave. I mean, Scott Nuttall, he's gone all over this. And watching his videos, holy Christ, there's M caves everywhere. He's gone into some of them. He's found some bizarre stuff. And I'll cover some of that later. But right now, this is just kind of my own thought on
off the beaten path.
on this hike.
Not that this is a beaten path. Very, 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 very few people come down here. Did I say enough varies? So I'm gonna shut the camera off again, and you can see that I'll be coming down here and going like an S. I'll be zigzagging back and forth through here, and it'll be getting skinnier and taller, and then I gotta do some cliff descending down some cliffs. They're not too bad though, if I can remember right. It's been a while since I've been up here. So off with the camera. Ow! Ooh! I almost fell. Bye. Here's where it gets narrow. It starts to get narrow anyway. I still got a ways to go before I get to the opening where I step out into the desert. And I have not seen the funny looking little cave. But I did see a rock cairn, so somebody has been down here. Another adventurer like myself. So here's where it comes to an area where I might have to do a little climbing, I think. Yeah, a little bit of drop off. I think I should be able to scale down these bushes, but not with my camera in my hand. So, bye-bye. Well, I'm in the canyon, and I haven't found the cave, but look what I did find. He's way up there. I don't know how close I'll get to him. Look at him. Wow. He is big. Look at the horns on that guy. That's why I love coming out here. You never know what you're going to see. Oh man, he's looking right at me, and he probably hears me talking. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I'll try to get another shot of him.
All right. So if a person wanted to go out here and you just had enough and you was wanting to disappear and you decided this was it, right there's one of your best food sources. Not to mention there's rabbits, snakes, turtles, mule deer, mountain lion. Now, I really think that you would have to have somebody helping you to resupply ammunition, unless you had been stockpiling things. And anybody that I've ever seen pretty much sticks to this trail, and but it's almost like they're trying to prove their own thought. Instead of being open-minded, there's way too much, this is what happened. And, no knock on them, it is what it is. But right there's your meat source. One of your meat sources anyway. You have plants that you can care for yourself, you can eat. I just really think it is survivable.
How cool.
Other than heat.
Well, I did not find the cave. That is...
Alright. So now he has came up, went over the saddle, dropped down into Picture Canyon, came out and around, and he's now out on the desert flat. From there, back to his vehicle, I would say that is where I would be pounding the water that I had with me. Just, that's what I would do. I fully understand trying to conserve, get up here, maybe have a little drink, wash your mouth out in through here as you're coming through. But once you get out to here, the closer you get, that's when you should be rehydrating, because that's your resupply point.
It's so weird. I mean, I thought for sure I was just going to be able to find it. I remember it being fairly easy. Who knows? But I am at the mouth of the canyon. There, I'm just now coming out. And now I have to take a big left-hand turn and walk all the way back to my truck, which is a long, hard trip because I've got a lot of up and down to do. And that's it. I'll talk to you when I get back to my truck. Bye-bye.
All right. All the up and downs that he's talking about are every one of these little washes. And you have to figure, if you zoom in on it, all right, you're going up, you're going down. Unless you follow one of these washes around and try to keep that to a minimal, but not being there, you're still going to have to go up and down, up and down. I mean, that just kind of goes without saying, in my opinion. Every one of these little fingers coming off, once it snows up there, every one of those collects water runs off. That's what forms all these little troughs, is water runoff. It erodes it away. Now, the thing that would be brutal in this situation would be the heat. I mean, right now it says in this area it is 66 degrees with a 4-mile-an-hour wind out of the west. So 66 degrees, that really shouldn't be too bad. Granted, this is December, not October. But anyhow, that's beside the point there.
Well, I'm still hiking. Looks like it's about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And I'm getting worn out, but I've got I think I got about 3 more miles to go. Whew, what a hike. It's disappointing I didn't find the cave, but I still like to hike. And I just came across this fellow. It's been a while since I saw one. It's a nice little Mojave Desert tortoise. He is definitely a desert tortoise. So I think he's acting like a rock, so I don't mess with him. But you're not supposed to mess with him, so I'm not going to touch him. But I will get over there and get close to him. Ouch! Oh, my legs. Worn out, let me tell you. Hey, bud. How you doing? I'm just going to take your picture here. He's neat looking. Hey. This is about how big he is. There's my hand next to him. So he's pretty good size. Yeah, I'm not going to touch him. You're not supposed to touch him or mess with him. It is highly illegal. He's a good sized guy. Desert tortoise. So now I've seen a tarantula. I took a picture of the tarantula. He wasn't a very big guy. And this is the mountain range I'm walking around right now. Vegas is out that way. There's Mount Charleston. It's got a nice cool breeze going. If I wasn't hiking, I wouldn't be hot. And that is it. So see you later, tortoise. Bye, guy. Hope I didn't disturb you.
Alright, so we can close that out. So here's what I started looking at. the first thing I started thinking about was, what is the key thing to survivability? Water. Alright, so once I spent a month of Sundays trying to establish all the springs, first thing I did was try to establish the area. And then I started thinking, okay, if a guy wanted to go out here and disappear, what are your odds? If you don't have no water, your odds are slim to none. And I found all these springs. Now, granted, these springs up here are a good bit away from that hike we just watched. But he claimed that he had camped out here on Gas Peak. He slept up in here. If I remember from some of his other videos, this wasn't the only hike that he did. I mean, if you are a extreme hiker, you're not going to just hike one spot. You're going to plan out different hikes, different challenges, different things to see. Now, the funny thing about most of these is you have a lot of these springs are duplicates. I put this in the wrong spot. After a little bit, I started trying to do it more like this. You have Rye Patch, which is actually not too far from one of the draws he went right by. And like I say, I haven't been there, but if you was to come up into this, go behind this cut, you can drop right into these springs. Now, my question would be, are these year-round springs? Are they intermittent, which means the spring fills up as the snow's melting, and then through the summer the spring dries up? I would have to say they're intermittent on some of them, simply because if you have a good water source, you have a microclimate, meaning you're going to have grass, you're going to have more vegetation, there's going to be signs that there's water. Everything needs water. So everything to me revolves around the water situation. But when I started tracking these springs down, the thing that I started to notice, and seems to be holding pretty true, all of the water seems to stay on the western side of the main peak. Like I say, most of it. It's not 100%, but I'm not exactly sure if you open it up. This entire ridge starts working over here. So is this actually the main ridge? Is the center ridge the main? I really don't know. I haven't been there. But I do know one thing. There is if these springs run year round, it's very survivable. But I do have a question for somebody that may be around there. What the hell is this? I don't know if it's part of the army base. To me, this looks like somebody tried to farm or something, and these rings would be from a sprinkler system. Drill a well, tap it, and you try to grow hay, grass, crops of some sort. I'm not exactly sure what this is, and I am inclined to think that it is not really part of. I mean, it might be really close to Area 51. Area 51 is up here. I don't know if this is a testing site, but when they put the lines through it, it's restricted. All of this is open to hunting, so I don't know why. I just, yeah, I don't know if somebody has a house out there and they're trying to make a go at farming, ranching, something like that. Right here's Area 51, and then once you come back down, here is another hub of something. I don't know. But the last three are what I really have no clue what they are. So that just, I don't know what those are. But anyhow, I really think that with a little bit of knowledge on your plants, if any of these springs run year round, I believe that a person could go out here and you could melt into that range, and it's not like people are gonna know exactly where to hike into to find you. But I think it's doable. Other than the heat factor, I've had 3 heat strokes, so for me, going out there from December to March would be the best time for me, simply because I think that would be the coolest time, because I think it's like 50 degrees here, so going to 70 degrees, I would be inclined to overheat a little bit. So anyway, that is just kind of what I'm thinking about it. All right, later.